So I'm really excited to restore this skillet. It's a number 9 made by Favorite Stove and Range. And this is called their Smiley logo because you can see this little line here. Looks like a smiley. I really love these skillets that have the outer heat ring, and I really like handles that have some personality to it. And you can tell by how literally dirty it is, not even just like rusty and gunky, but dirty. I got this for cheap. I got it for 15 bucks, and it really should clean up nicely. There shouldn't be any pitting. I don't think so. This skillet was made between 1916 and 1934, so it definitely could have been used on a coal stove, but it definitely doesn't look like there's any sulfur pitting. I won't really know until all this gunk and old seasoning is off, but it looks like it should be very clean when it's done. And basically same thing for the cooking surface. Looks like it's in really good shape. Just dirty, some rust on the handle, but overall looks like it should be in really good shape. And when I did pick this up, I had a straight edge with me to make sure that it is level, it's not bowed, it's not warped, which is another reason why I don't think this is gonna have any sulfur pitting. So I'm gonna brush the dirt off of this bad boy and then drop it into my electrolysis tank. All right, so let's drop this in the E-tank. And right now I have this big piece of steel that goes all the way down to the bottom as my anode or my sacrificial steel. And right now this is being powered by this manual battery charger, pulling about 8 amps right now, which is pretty good. So the skillet's been in the E-tank for about 22 hours. You can see all the foam and the suds and see all that darkness on top. That's actually the seasoning that peeled off of the skillet. Now the skillet should be ready to rock, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull that wood up and I'm just gonna turn the skillet around because right now I have the bottom facing the anode, so that'll be a little bit more clean than the cooking surface, even though the whole thing should be fine. I'm just gonna turn around so the cooking surface is facing that anode just for a couple hours. So now I have the cooking surface facing the anode. I'm gonna drop it back in and I'll check back in on this in probably like 4 or 5 hours. All right, so it's been about 4 hours facing the other direction. Let's disconnect and pull it out. So let's take this upstairs, get it scrubbed down, and see what it looks like. Before I scrub it down, here's another quick look. Okay, so after scrubbing it down, it did reveal very small little patch of sulfur pitting, which I'm a little disappointed about, but the logo is intact, at least for the most part. Now what's interesting is this discoloration here. You can see I'm restoring another favorite skillet, a number 7 I think it is, and it had very, very similar discoloration, but on the cooking surface. And what got rid of that was the vinegar bath. So I'm gonna drop this in my vinegar bath and this should be looking a lot better. The cooking surface is in pretty good shape. Now I'm about to drop the skillet into the vinegar bath, but before I do that, you know, a lot of cast iron restorers think that the E-tank is the end-all be-all, that's all you need to do. I definitely disagree, but you can really see the difference after being in the E-tank for just a little bit over 24 hours. All that carbon buildup and all the heavy rust is gone, but there is still that discoloration, and if I were to season that right now, that discoloration would pop right through the seasoning and it would look really, really, really ugly. So I want to get rid of all of that discoloration, try to make it, you know, look as uniform as possible. So let's drop this in, and as usual, I'm gonna leave this in the vinegar bath for 40 minutes. All right, it's been 40 minutes. Let's take this out, see what it's looking like. All right, just gave it a good scrub in. You can see a lot of discoloration is gone. This dark patch here is actually still rust that's on there. So I'm gonna put it back in the vinegar bath for another 40 minutes and it'll start to look even better. So I wind up putting the skillet through several rounds of the vinegar bath to really get rid of that rust in this area here, which is also where that pitting is. But overall, it looks really great. I have it oiled up and ready to go in the oven for its first round of seasoning. I'm gonna shoot for 4 rounds of seasoning, possibly 5. And the cooking surface is in excellent shape. The only real flaw to the skillet is a little bit of pitting on the bottom. So after 5 rounds of seasoning, here's the finished product. It does have that sulfur pitting, which I've talked about before. It does make sense since this was made between 1916 and 1934. This skillet at some point was used on a coal stove. But there's a lot of things I love about the skillet. I do love this style logo from Favorite. I love the outer heat ring, and I really love this handle. It really looks like the old Erie's. And another thing I really like is the reinforced lip here that goes all around the skillet. Really gives it added character. The cooking surface on this skillet is excellent, came out really great. Overall, I'm really happy how this one came out. Of course, I wish it didn't have the pitting on the back, but this was a fun one to restore.